this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this stylish deep neckline corset. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, for this pattern, you need your shoulder to bust, under bust, shoulder to waistline, and then add 5 inches to your blouse length, because this dress is an inbuilt corset, right? You have to draft it with additional 5 inches after your waistline. So I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2, and I'll come down by 1 inch. From this point, I'll mark my basic neckline of 3 inches. After I'm done marking that, I'm going to go ahead to connect this to this point. And I'm going to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll go ahead and place back my tape on that chest line. Your chest line is also your armhole line, and I'll place my ruler and connect. Now I'm going to go ahead to divide what I have there into 2, and I will mark. I'll come in by ½ inch from that point, place my tape at the chest line, mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4, I have 8.3. Connect from my bust circumference to that ½ inch at the armhole and to the upper part. Now I'll start by marking my dart, and I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches. Divided by 2, I have 3.5 inches, which I marked from the bust, under bust, waist and blouse length. So after marking this, I'll place my ruler, and I'm going to connect this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. So after I'm done connecting this, I'll now go ahead to divide from my shoulder to my basic neckline. And I'll now connect my ruler, and I'm going to connect at that point. So after I'm done connecting, I'll be marking a dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. Now if you're plus size, you can add or use 1.5 inches. Now what I will do is to go ahead to connect this all the way to the upper part of the pattern, and also connect to the other side of the pattern also. Now after I'm done connecting this, I'm going to go ahead to come up by 1.5 inches from here. So go ahead to measure what is okay for you. You can decide to use 2 inches here, or measure from the shoulder to where you want your cup to stop. Or you can just take your measurement from the chest line, above your chest line, decide where you want it to be. Now I'll mark a line to serve as a guide. There I'll go ahead to mark my dart. I'll be marking 1 inch on both sides. So after marking this, I'll go ahead to connect from the under bust to the bust area, and repeat this at the other side of the pattern. Now you also want to connect from the bust to the over bust, and also repeat this at the other side of your pattern too. So after this, I'll go ahead to use my marker, and I'm going to outline all my patterns, and I'm going to make it more visible for you to see. Next, I'll start inserting my measurements. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4, I have 8.3. I'll pick this dart I have here at the over bust or the chest line area, and I will transfer it to this side. I don't want to use the one at the upper part, because I don't want to have an excess allowance by the side that the back pattern will not match up with what I have at the side. So I'll go ahead to add a sewing allowance. You can use any sewing allowance of your choice. I'll go ahead to mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure this dart intake place, and add my sewing allowance. Here I'm going to remove like 2 inches from my waistline, because I want to snatch it. My waist is 28 minus 2 will give me 26. So that 26, I'll divide it by 4 and mark. Measure the dart intake, and I'll replace, then add my sewing allowance. Now at the blouse length, you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4, and you're going to measure this dart intake you have here, and you're going to replace it. Then go ahead to add your sewing allowance. So after this, I'm going to place my ruler, and I'm going to start connecting from the bust to the under bust to the waistline and down to the hip point. After this, by the side, you can come up by 1.5 to 2 inches or 2.5.
Now I'll now place my ruler and connect this, blend my dart this way, and I will reconnect. So after I'm done reconnecting, I'll use my marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. Next, I'm going to go ahead to mark my bust dart. To get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 and a half. Now, if I take out 15 and a half from 17, I'll have 1.5, which I'll go ahead to shed out. Now, after I'm done marking this, we are now going to go ahead to work on the corset area. I'll come down by 1 inch from my chest line. So my bust is not that big, that's why my if I come down by 1 inch from my chest line, it will be on my bust. When marking your, go down by 1 inch from your chest line and place your ruler, come in by half and draw out your cup. So from here I will tilt this a little this way, then I will now mark half inch and connect back my cup. Now if you feel this cup is too deep for you or the center part is too deep, there's always room for adjustment before going ahead to cut out your pattern. Now I'll just blend this out this way. Now measure what you have here and make sure that it rhymes with the other side, so that when you're cutting your corset you now have different sizes. Here I'll mark my nipple to nipple and I'll add half inch. My nipple to nipple divided by 2 and add half inch. If your bust is on the bigger size, please add 1 inch for it to accommodate your bust by the side. So I'll go ahead and connect my cup all the way to this side, and then I'll connect by this side. You want to create a 3-part corset, I'll connect, go down by half inch, connect, and then take it up, connect it to where I have this end. Now I'll just go ahead and label my cup out. Now for the sleeve, you notice that the one on the thumbnail, the purple one which you're making, went all the way to the cup. You want to take the measurement you have from that point all the way to the cup area. So any measurement you have there, you also measure your chest line at the back, add it together. That is how you're going to get the strip to cut out your sleeve. So blend out the side of your pattern when you're cutting out your pattern. Now go ahead to cut out the rest of this pattern. Now also blend out this side. You can go ahead to cut this or just blend it out. So in the pattern, in the actual pattern, there's no joining. It's more like creating boning channels at the back of your pattern. So now I blended it and I went ahead to cut out my cup. So for this cup A, you're going to blend it out as one piece because this is a 3-part corset. So after cutting this, we'll move down to the back pattern of this dress. So I marked my shoulder to waist and I added 5 inches extra. This is an inbuilt corset, right? So you have to like add extra 5 inches to your pattern. Now for this dress, we'll be focusing more on the chest line area to the lower part. Now I'll start by marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which will give me 3.5 inches because my nipple to nipple is 7 inches, which I'll go ahead to mark out a straight line. Now after I'm done marking that, I'll proceed to mark my dart intake of half inch on both sides. I'll come down by 1 inch, and on both sides I'll go ahead to mark half inch and I'll connect and also connect at the other side. I'll go ahead to extend this to the lower part and also mark this here. Now after I'm done marking, I'm going to insert my measurement, which is my bust circumference divided by 4, and add your sewing allowance of your choice. Mark your waist circumference. That waist circumference we used for the front that we deducted 2 inches, mark it. Then mark your dart intake that you took out and add your sewing allowance. So here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4. After marking that, I'll go ahead to add my sewing allowance. Now go ahead to place your ruler and you're going to connect this from this point all the way to the lower part of your pattern. So we are almost done with that of the upper part, and I'll go ahead to outline. Now after I'm done outlining, I'm going to go ahead to come down by half inch from my chest line. Now I'll still come up by half inch at the armhole part of this pattern. If you don't want to go up by half inch, you can leave it at the chest line. It totally depends on you. because at the front I left it at that chest line. I'm just trying to explain that in case you don't want your armhole area to be too revealing, you can go ahead to use come up by ½ inch at the chest line. So I'll go ahead to reconnect.
I will reconnect. Now why I went down by ½ inch for the center part towards the lacing is so that my lacing bar won't be popping up when I'm working on the dress. So go up again by the side. If you're using 1.52 inches, go ahead to mark that. Now I'll just go ahead to reconnect it this way. I like my back pattern a bit short so that it will be easier for you to sit properly or enable you sit very well. Now after I'm done marking this, you want to go ahead to mark your lacing. I'm using about 2 inches for the lacing part of this dress, and I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'm going to draw a straight line. Now I will just make a dot to indicate that we have a lacing here, and I'll cut it out. That is, after I'm done cutting out, we're done with the back pattern. You can go ahead to cut out a modesty panel to replace it at the back so that the back part of your dress won't be that open. So after this, I'm going to go ahead to cut out the dart, and this is what I have for the back.
Marking your skirt, you're going to measure from your waist to the full length of your skirt. So I'll be using this pattern paper for my skirt, and I'll add the complete measurements when I'm drafting and when I'm transferring my measurements. So I'll mark my waist, and for my waistline I'll mark 7 inches for my hip point. Let's say if you're a taller person, you should consider using 8 inches for your waist, for your hip line, sorry. From the waist again, I'll place my tape and I'm going to measure my waist to knee point, and I will mark. You need that because you want to make your skirt a fitted pattern. So I will mark. From my knee line, I'm going to go ahead to come up by 2 inches. And I will go ahead to draw out a straight line on that part. So this is where my fitted skirt effect is going to start. This is for the skirt to relax very well. I'll mark my waist circumference.
That is your new waistline, the one that you minused 2 inches from. Then that is what you'll be using for the waistline of your skirt. Then divide it and add your sewing allowance.
Skirt. Mark my hip circumference divided by 4. Add my sewing allowance directly on the pattern. Now here I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll minus 2 inches from it and mark, then add my sewing allowance. Now whatever measurement I have here, I'll take it all the way to the lower part of this skirt. Now after marking that, I'm going to place my ruler to connect. After I'm done connecting here, I'll go ahead to connect from the hip down to that point, and then connect from the hip to the upper part. Then I will go ahead to cut this out. I'll use this front skirt pattern to trace out that of the back pattern. All you have to do is add a zipper allowance. So when I was cutting this, I added a zipper allowance in front of my skirt. So when I want to cut out the back, I will open it. So for my skirt pattern at the back, you can contour it by going in. So you'll be doing that when you're actually sewing the dress. You'll be taking out this ½ inch so that the zipper won't be popping up at the back of the skirt when you're putting on the dress.